Hello everyone, my name is Chris Michelle Plaza and I'm the group leader of Group A. Well, you might be wondering what are we going to discuss about? Well, our topic is all about the evolution of public finance from antiquity to the dawn of capitalism. My group members will be talking about their parts and I will be right here editing it all. And I do hope you'll listen, learn, and enjoy this video.
Ancient public finance was simple and focused in a few core tasks: funding war and defense, supporting state religion and the ruler's household, and building public works like roads, canals, and monuments. Most revenue came from conquest, loots, tributes, fines, and from the ruler's lands, mines, and occasional gifts from wealthy citizens. Direct taxes were rare and usually applied to non-citizens, or only in emergencies. Budgets existed to allocate funds, but were often indistinguishable from the ruler's private purse. The states rarely borrowed money, preferring gifts or emergencies instead. Despite the narrow scope of spending, many ancient societies had systems of financial oversight and auditing to check accounts and hold officials accountable. So there are three under the ancient public finance in slave societies. We have budgeting, borrowing, and auditing. Under budgeting, revenues were allocated to functions, but public and royal finances were often merged. Borrowing, states rarely borrowed. They preferred gifts or emergencies over loans. Next and lastly is auditing. Accountability existed. Ancient states had audit offices or officials to check accounts and legality of expenditures. So for this one, ancient public finance was narrow and pragmatic. States prioritized war and defense, and the rulers need funding them mainly through conquest. With this, a limited direct taxation and little use of borrowing, despite the simplicity, early budgeting and auditing practices established basic principles of accountability that help shape later public finance institutions.
Medieval public finance. During the Middle Ages, the way the government managed money changed because the political power also changed. After the fall of the Roman Empire, the central government became weaker, and feudalism arrived and became the dominant system. This feudalism is like a pyramid, where the rulers and landowners is located at the very top of the system while the protectors and workers at the bottom. So first is the rulers and landowners. First is the king. The king is located at the very top of the system. They owned all lands in the country and gave parts of it to trusted nobles in exchange of money and soldiers. Next is lords and barons. They are rich nobles who rented large parts of the land from the king. They made local laws, collected taxes, and ran their own manors. Next is the protector and workers. First is the knights. They receive smaller fees of the lands of the lords. In return, they will protect the king, the manor, and the lords. Lastly, the peasants and serfs. They are located at the very bottom of the system and made up the large part of the population. They farmed the land, cared for the animals, and gave food and labor to the upper classes in exchange for a small place to live and safety. Each of them played a great role in order to keep the society running. As feudalism expanded, the king had less control over the taxation of public spending, as they depend mainly on the influx of their lands and contributions during wars and emergencies. For example, individuals are not obligated to give money to the government. Instead, it is their free will whether they will give or not. So next is fees, fines, and other privileges as royals. Feudal lords became responsible for many government functions within their territories. They collected taxes, they maintained infrastructures like roads and bridges, protected people, and supervised trade and agriculture. Because of this, public finance became highly centralized. Because of feudalism, taxes during the Middle Ages was mainly based on land and agriculture. Over time, government improved land records and tax accessibility. For example, is the English Domesday Book, where land ownership and taxes are recorded, and it became more organized. Just like at present times, kings during the Middle Ages also borrowed money, but the borrowings back then is very limited and loans are very short term. Also, high rates of interest are common. Public finance in medieval ages contributed and influenced the public finance that we have today. For example, the government today collected taxes from the people in order to fund services and projects and to keep the society running. Government recognizes the value or importance of decentralization, where the power doesn't center or given only to the higher or upper classes. Today, we recognize that the voices of the people is also important in order for the government to effectively implement services and projects that can be used or benefited by the people. Aside from the collected taxes, the government also borrowed money in order to keep our society running. If you have heard about the issue of the excessive debt of the Philippines, each of us or each individuals is already indebted, and even those unborn children. There is nothing wrong with borrowing money, but we have to keep in mind that too much of it can be a burden to the future generation.
Good day. So this presentation covers how public finances evolved from feudal times to early modern centralized governance. So first, under feudalism, the system was entirely land-based. So the taxes focused on land activities, and feudal lords collected many kind of fees, tolls, and dues. So the states had very limited main duties, which is fighting wars, keeping peace, supporting religion, and maintaining the ruler's household and public works. So the most important legacy here is that taxation became established as the main source of public revenue. So the breakdown of feudalism and rise of central power. So between 1300s and 1500s, feudalism weakened and strong central governments grew. As government expanded and became more costly, they needed much more revenue. So they broadened old taxes and created entirely new ones. So this created constant struggle. Monarchs fought with representative bodies, lords, and later to common people over who controlled the public treasury. So the tax systems became very complex. Some were updated feudal levies, others brand new, and they were revised often, both because society and economies changed and because people excessively resisted unfair or heavy taxes. So several famous taxes emerged, such as the poll tax. It is applied to everyone over 15. Complicated rules and exemptions made it very controversial. Next is health and window taxes. So it is based on stoves or windows. It is widely disliked as an intrusive and unfair. Next is gabelle or soul tax. It is very common but deeply resented. Next is income tax, which is first used in England in 1799 to fund wars. Later became a standard modern revenue source. So these are the crucial political changes are followed. The Magna Carta, 1215, it is forced English kings to respect rights, including no taxation without concepts. Next is Bill of Rights in 1689. It is confirmed parliamentary control over taxes and spending. Next is French Revolution in 1789. So it is abolished feudal dues, unfair exemptions for wealthy and arbitrary taxes. Later, Napoleon streamlined France's finance into efficient system. So, the rising costs also led to the growth of public borrowing and national debt. Trade, banking, and stable government made this possible. So short-term royal loans were replaced by long-term national debt. So some scholars debated this. Some like Carafa and Bodin advised prudent surpluses and avoiding debt. Others like C. Hamilton and Stewart believed that debt could build national credit and capital. So toward the end of this era, government also began valuing accountability, records, and audits. So in summary, this period created the foundations of modern taxation, the rule of law in fiscal matters, public credit, and the principle of financial transparency.
Hello everyone, I am Marinia Ayuban. In my part, I will discuss the transition from feudalism to modern economic systems, focusing on the beginnings of capitalism and the era of mercantilism. So, starting in the 15th century, the feudal system began to break down. Rise in individualism, technology, and colonial trade expanded markets rapidly. Out of this shift, central governments formed strong nation-states. To make these states wealthy and powerful, economic thinkers developed three main philosophies, which are the mercantilism, cameralism, and satiocracy. Today, we focus on mercantilism. So, mercantilism was a dominant policy between the 16th and 18th centuries. Its main goal was to enrich the nation through trade, manufacturing, and raw material extraction from colonies. So, under mercantilism, a nation's strength was measured by its reserves of gold and silver bullions. To protect local industries, mercantilist governments implemented strong protectionist measures. They granted subsidies to home industries, placed heavy tariffs on foreign imports. To protect local industries, mercantilist governments implemented strong protectionist measures. They granted subsidies to home industries, placed heavy tariffs on foreign imports, and monopolized colonial trade routes to prevent foreign competition. So finally, how did mercantilism change public finance? First, it is established that states could actively guide the economy through fiscal policy. Second, it laid the foundation for the modern concept of the balance of payment. And lastly, nations like England realized that stockpiling gold wasn't enough. True wealth lies in internal production, and agriculture and industry. Mercantilism marked the bridge between feudalism and modern market economies by introducing central government intervention, strategic taxation, and state-backed economic growth. That's all. Thank you for listening, and I will pass it to the last reporter.
Good day, everyone. Today I'll explain two old ideas about how governments can become rich and strong: the cameralism and patriocracy. Cameralism, think of it like this: build your country from the inside and out. Cameralism are similar to mercantilists. Both wanted a powerful and wealthy state. The big difference is mercantilists chase gold and control foreign trades. Cameralists focus on what we already have inside our country. They believe in efficient administration, meaning good management and control of the economy. So here's what they suggest: use taxation wisely. The government should use taxes to direct the economy, not just collect but plan it. Second, use fiscal measures, budgeting, spending, and financial rules to control economic life. Then, let's move to the patriocracy. Patriocracy, this came from France. Patriocrats ask, where should taxes came from so it's stable and sure? Their answer is agriculture. People like Francis Quenet and Jacques Turgot said only farming procedure or real surplus, meaning extra income after expenses. Because of that, they proposed abolish all other taxes, have only one tax, a direct tax on land rent from agriculture. Why? Because from product, feed people and create goods. That's the flow of income in the economy. If we tax this surplus, government revenue will be stable and certain. So in conclusion, cameralism and patriocracy both wanted to make strong and wealthy in different ways.